Hello everyone, I am Clara Micarelli. Welcome back to How I Met Our Planet, the IGTV series of GEA Society ESCP, where we talk about sustainability. This is our sixth and last episode, and today we're going to talk with Mauro Nardocci, co-founder and communication director of the startup Seads, Sea Defense Solutions. Hello Mauro and welcome. So, could you please introduce us to your project? When was Seads born and what is the idea behind it?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. Seads, Sea Defense Solution, is a UK-based startup based in London that was started in July 2018 from a dream of two friends, Fabio Dalmonte and myself, Mauro Nardocci, with the objective of collecting plastic pollution in rivers before it reaches the ocean. This is the overall concept, and then we developed an innovative solution that is very effective in collecting the plastic. And our vision is to transform this into wealth for the local communities that are normally the ones that are more affected by plastic pollution.
So, what materials do you use to create the Blue Barriers?
Blue Barriers are intentionally designed to be very, very simple. Why? Because we want to have very affordable production so that actually countries where all these plastic pollutions reach the ocean, so all the Southeast Asia, but also Africa, South America, can afford to install the barriers. They're intentional because intentionally simple because this means also less maintenance and less cost overall. So that's just made of recycled plastic. It's hard plastic that basically it's empty in the middle, where we have three cables of steel that keeps the structure stable even when there is a strong current. Why this is important? Because it's when there is strong current that most of the plastic is transported to the ocean. So that's what makes our solutions much different and more effective than the others that are on the market. So basically, again, we started in 2018, and after 1 year, more or less, of technical development and studies, we tested the first barrier in the Lamone River in northern Italy. That was just a few days test, but it confirmed that our solution was very effective. We collected 100% of the plastic that we put on the river. So that was the very first test that we have done. Then in the same year, we have tested with the collaboration of the hydrodynamic lab of the University of Florence, our barriers in a small scale, but with the possibility of testing different currents in the river. So we have highlighted that our solution stops 100% of plastic in rivers in normal standard conditions and 92% during flooding conditions. We had in plan to install 2 permanent barriers at the beginning of 2020, one in Italy in the Sarno River, which is infamously known as the most polluted river in Europe, and one in Jakarta on the Ciliwung River. At the moment with COVID, we're a little postponing these projects, but we're aiming to finalize them within this year or early 2021.
And how many Blue Barriers have you installed since the beginning of the project?
Yes, I mean, as I mentioned, basically, these were the two first that we would install permanently, and we are waiting. We can't wait to actually see them installed permanently in these rivers. We're already working on others, but this will be the very first two that we will install permanently.
And how have people reacted to the installation of the Blue Barriers? You have talked about the fact that you have done this for the communities. So what are the main feedbacks that you got from them, and what are the biggest obstacles and challenges to this project?
Those are all very good questions. Basically, I mean, where we tested the barriers and in general, when we have been in contact with local population, especially in Indonesia, but also in Italy, I mean, a lot of people actually started asking for these solutions. They want to see these solutions more and more because, I mean, we love seeing people that go on the beach and clean the plastic that is on the sand, but this cannot be a structural permanent solution because we know that 10 billion pounds of 10 billion tons of plastic reach the oceans every year. So this is just scratching the surface, and people have their lives affected by all this plastic, and it ends up in their food chain, it ends up in the air that we breathe. So you can imagine we are a very, very slim organization with only 2 shareholders and a few other people that help us on a voluntary base. And yet, I mean, we are responding to all these people that are just reaching to us and saying, oh, we want to install this in our communities because we really think we need it. So that's a strong request and demand from local communities. On the other side, the challenges that we're encountering are, I would say, the number one is certainly working with local administrations take time, and we are realizing this more and more, and this is true in Italy and even more true in Southeast Asia, South America. So that's why also we are structuring partnerships in all of these countries so that we already work with established organizations that already have relationship with the local administrations, and they can go and knock on the doors of these administrations and remember them accelerating the process of installation. So the challenge is definitely creating awareness in the local administrations overall, worldwide, basically, that this is a problem that they need to solve. And it's not just because it might be nice for the environment. There's plenty of research. For example, there's a great article from Deloitte that highlights how actually investing in river plastic collection would save so much money for the organization rather than having all their fishes killed with plastic, having low tourism because basically their beaches are full of plastic, having to pay for people to clean the environment once in a while. So all of these costs will already be much lower than paying for the installation of our barriers or other solutions. We don't care that much. Yeah, we think our solution is the most innovative on the market, the most efficient, but we will be satisfied that every community will install their preferred solution to protect their environment. And finally, I mean, to incentivize even more this local administration, we also offer them the possibility to install small-scale pyrolysis plants that basically take the low-quality plastic that we get out of the river and that doesn't have a value on the recycling market and transforms it into a valuable oil, kind of it's similar to naphtha that can be used either to produce new energy or to produce new plastic, so that they make even more money. They actually make more money. They have an ROI above 40% over 10 years. So we're trying to kind of entice them even more. But as a small organization, it's not easy to reach these administrations, I don't know, in Jakarta, in the Philippines, in South America, and convince them that this is something that they need to take actions now, because they're wasting time, they're wasting money, and they're destroying the quality of life of their local communities.
So who are the main supporters in this project, the administration of the communities where you operate?
So I would say supporters, as mentioned, the communities are the main supporters, because people really want these kind of solutions to be permanently installed and taking care of these problems. Because if you take care of pollution from rivers, you will immediately have a much, much better and more sustainable conditions for the beautiful marine environment, for the environment where these people live every day. So that's certainly the number one, but then there's also a lot of different organizations that really are doing a great job for supporting these kind of solutions. I'm thinking about, for example, the Solar Impulse Foundation, that basically certified us as a Swiss organization that is famous because they basically flew around the world with the solar panel fuel flight, and now they are basically gathering 1,000 solutions that have these three conditions: help the environment, help the local communities, and can make money. So we are basically us and the Ocean Cleanup are the only two organizations in river plastic interception that are certified by Solar Impulse Foundations. But I mean, Plastic Bank, there are already a lot of organizations we are partnering with that really helping us in distributing our solutions worldwide.
So, which criteria do you choose to decide where to insert new blue barriers, besides the fact that you choose based on the pollution of the river? More specifically, how do you prioritize them?
Well, I mean, as I mentioned before, we're a very small organization, so we're not choosing much which ones are the ones that are more progressing. Is more about local administrations or local communities basically reaching out to us and asking us for proposing a project for their most polluted rivers. And it's true, you're totally right. I mean, there's plenty of rivers. From literature, is established to have, in the world, there are about 4,000 very significantly polluted river. So on a strategic side, we are focusing on where most plastic is, right? Because it's also where the local administrations can make more money because they can collect more plastic and transform it into more oil. And this is Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, China, India, Brazil. These are the main countries where we are establishing our partners. So we are focusing on those countries. But the projects that are moving on might be different because, for example, in Italy, we had a lot of visibility on media. So we had a lot of organization or directly administration that reached out to us. So we are progressing with potential projects in several parts of Italy. And again, Indonesia and China are the other two main spots we're working more at the moment.
Okay, so you mainly wait for communities to reach to you and then you start doing the project, right?
It is how it worked so far. It's not strategically how we want it to work, but since we needed to have a very lean organization, at the moment it is like this. And again, we are currently structuring this partnership so that this local partner organization can actually reach out to the local administrations in India, in China, in Brazil, in the Philippines, and have a more, kind of proactive reach out to the local administrations. At the moment, we are not in the conditions to do this, and that's why we have a more passive, reactive approach. But definitely, that's not the way we want our business to work.
So these two are your plans for the future, and you will start as soon as the COVID crisis will allow you to operate again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our vision is in this area, there's no, I would say, there's no one organization that can really solve immediately this huge problem. So we actually talking with everybody. We're talking with Parley, with Ocean Cleanup, with Plastic Bank. We're trying to work with everybody in order to find ways to help out each other and actually be effective as fast as possible to install whatever solution is best in each specific case, and try to find a solution in the next, 5 or 10 years when we have most of the rivers with some sort of river plastic collection in place so that we can protect the oceans. Because, I mean, as you probably know, the oceans produce 50% of our oxygen and absorb 25% of CO2. We can't actually survive without healthy oceans.
Of course, so it is a challenge for you every time that a community calls you in another part of the world, like Brazil, for example. How do you structure the implementation for the barriers, and how do you find all the materials and all the workers? How do you create every time a supply chain around the world?
I mean, it's a very good point. We, on one side, is a very positive element. As I mentioned, our blue barriers are so simple that can be produced everywhere. We just need a rotomolder and a production of steel. These, you will find it everywhere. But you need to find the right producer. And these, the fact that you can produce locally saves you a lot of pollution because you don't have to transport stuff all over the world, a lot of costs because you can produce where it's cheaper, so it's more affordable for the administrations. But on the other side, it takes time at the beginning to set up a reliable supply chain in each spot. That's why we're starting. I mean, in Italy now we have defined our partners. In Indonesia, we are completing them. In China, we are midway there. So yeah, it's definitely a step that we have to take. It might require some efforts. It helps that we are having all these local partners that are helping us finding reliable producers there. But it's definitely one of the main steps we're taking at the moment, so that in the future we can choose which producer is the best depending on where we have the need to install our barriers.
Perfect. So thank you very much, Mauro, for your time and for having answered to all our curiosities. It was a pleasure having the chance to talk with you.
Thank you. Bye. My pleasure.
So guys, this was our last episode of How I Met Our Planet. We hope you enjoyed this digital format and hope to get started soon in our campuses across Europe in September. Meet you all there. Bye!